Is it worth it to be spending hundreds of dollars more for these American brands?
I mean, I suppose to a certain extent that might depend on what you're spending the money for. It's important to sort of recognize the components and a lot of the manufacturing are still being done overseas, even for a lot of the American brands. They're distributed in the United States, but often manufactured overseas anyways. It's hard for me to justify spending twice as much. It's hard for me to ever justify spending even more than twice as much, which some of those lights cost. Chilled in particular is creating some of the most efficient fixtures on the market. Their Ultra series, I believe, is the most efficient series on the market right now. But it would be decades of running at that efficiency before you'd recover the initial investment in terms of how much more expensive those fixtures are. So, Fluence is another one that's in that. Who's the big one that gets on my nerves all the time with their marketing? Fohs, FOHSE is another one that they sell these really high cost lights. They target Fohs in particular, target sort of the commercial market, and their marketing is basically like, we know something about light that nobody else knows, and like only our light does it. So if you want this super special magic sauce, then you need to get our specific light. There's a lot of lighting companies that have basically taken that marketing approach to try to convince growers that there's some special quality to their light and that they're the only light that offers it. And so if you want to have the best results, get this. And then they goose numbers on sort of their grams per square foot or their returns or whatever it is that they're trying to sort of prove that point over. I don't see how you justify spending the costs for that technology. Some of the fixtures are very nice, but in the end, these grow lights get mounted onto the ceiling of your grow space, and like you want them to come on when you want them to come on, and you want them to go off when you want them to go off. You don't need them to cook you breakfast and make your bed and do anything else. They're just lights. So that's kind of my take on the really expensive models. And that's my pitch to the commercial scale. Like I said, I'm working with a couple of big commercial farms that just went all in on Metagrow, because what we're buying are micromoles of light, and that's the cheapest micromoles per light, basically, that are out there. And now there are legitimate other reasons, I think, for choosing different brands, but you want to be able to have a good customer service experience. And that can be a challenge depending on who you're working with, and if you're working with a dealer that can actually get responses from these organizations, from these different companies. And I think some of the American companies may offer, somewhat better points of contact. Yeah, but you're being asked to pay twice. And, I was looking at actual quotes for one of these grows that I was working with, of $160,000 for the Metagrow lights, or $640,000. Okay. It wasn't, it's like, okay, you can pay an extra $500,000. I mean, what do we get for our extra $500,000? It better be like damn good customer service.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Think about it, micromole per watt or cost per micromole. Some of those fixtures and some of those companies that are targeting the commercial space in particular, are still charging $1 or more per micromole, where, companies that are in more competitive markets. It's interesting. And I do consulting in the commercial space, and I work with growers like this on these lights. A lot of the commercial scale growers are spending other people's money, And if they have a good sales pitch to go back to their investors or to their money man with about sort of, well, this says the latest science, lights, whatever, then they'll get that. I mean, people don't know enough. And home growers don't know enough either. And that's sort of hopefully what you and I are on this mission to improve the knowledge base so that growers can't be taken advantage of by companies that are just trying to sell them a bill of goods.
This clip is brought to you by AC Infinity. Use discount code MrGrow at 15 to save on any of their products.